Hey guys, Hardway back again with another rant. I'm actually recording like a preamble or a preface to the rant that is to follow, which is about game type settings in matchmaking. The, the rant that's coming up, I recorded that back in January of 2019 when I was on my way to UGC St. Louis to cast my first HCS affiliated tournament. Matchmaking was in a very different state back then. I was reluctant to post this rant because, well, for one, I get a little bit worked up in it because, like, game type settings in matchmaking are like my thing. It's what I care most about regarding Halo. It's what I want to change the most, and it's why I joined this group this Discord group that works directly with employees of 343, and we help to influence matchmaking. We have improved matchmaking many times over the last couple years, and I'm optimistic about the future. I want to keep doing it. And so that's the only reason I didn't post this a year and a half ago. It's because I didn't really want to rock the boat. I don't. I've since changed my mind. That's why I'm doing this today. I don't really think the rant to follow is that incendiary. I was just being overly cautious about it. I think just because I really value my position in this group and the changes that we've made in the past and the changes I still think we can make in the future. I'm really grateful for what we've fixed in the past. Like, I mean, my God, they helped me get mayhem put into matchmaking. That was just an idea in Metal Godhand's head, and he reached out to me, and it's like, hey, what if we could play 8v8 on the 4v4 maps in Halo 1? And I was like, that sounds fun as hell. And him and I worked on it, play tested it, narrowed down the game types that we felt would work, and submitted it to them. And my God, they did it. And now it's in matchmaking. It has been for over a year. At the time of this recording, it's the featured playlist right now. It's like a dream come true. And then the other thing I'm most proud of that we've been able to do is just the 4v4, the core 4v4 settings for Halo 1. Slayer, Flag, King, and Ball. Those are almost entirely my suggestions. That's like my baby. I'm really proud of what we've been able to put out for that, and so I'm really grateful for this group that we've been that I've been able to be a part of. The other cool thing we've been able to do is Halo 1's big team battle. To be honest, it used to be a train wreck, an absolute train wreck. Like CTF on like the Gearbox maps and whatnot. I think we've been able to make that as good as it can possibly be. No more touch return. No more having a jillion tanks and crap on the map. No more flag at home to score. No more radar. I mean, it's not my favorite VTB, but I think it's as good as it can possibly be, and it's so much better than what it was before we got our hands on it. So I mean, we just been able to do a lot of cool stuff. That's the only reason I've been reluctant to post this. Shout out to Metal Godhand for helping us create mayhem. To Omar, who's what I consider to be the MVP of our group. Thank you for all the help and effort you've given us over the last couple of years. And probably most importantly, shout out to Duck with 343 for sometimes you see him on like the blogs that they put out, DuckTales. That guy, he's helped make my Halo dreams come true. If you would have told me in 2003 that I'd be able to play Halo 1 4v4 with perfect settings online whenever I want, probably would have passed out. Like, it's incredible. Like, just thank you. What you hear in this rant to follow, I definitely I get worked up about it. It's kind of passionate, but I still have perspective, and you should have perspective too. We've come a long way, and we're going to do a lot more awesome stuff. God willing, hopefully I can be a part of it. I've been very grateful for what we've already been able to do. But so what you hear to follow, I think it's my favorite rant I've recorded. I think it's pretty entertaining, but the frustration that you're going to hear, I just want to make it very clear. It's not directed at people. It's not directed at individual people. It's directed at ideas. It's directed at logic. It's directed at the logic for the current settings that are in place and what I feel is really obvious of what should be done. So hopefully, I'm optimistic we can change these things in the future. But even if we don't, these are just my opinions. Hopefully, I can entertain you for the next 25 minutes or so. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this. Enjoy.
Hey guys, it's Hardway. On another road trip, decided to do another rant to entertain myself on the way to UGC St. Louis to go cast the Halo 1 tournament. I can't believe I'm actually doing that. I'm pretty freaking excited about it. But I got a 6-hour road trip, a little bit of time to kill, and thought I'd do another rant. This time I wanted to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, something that I feel like I care about more than most people, it would seem, and that's Gametype settings in matchmaking. Halo has a long history of really bad Gametype settings in matchmaking, and I feel like the general player base of Halo has just kind of become numb to it, or they accept it. They don't demand better. Their standard of acceptance is just is too low. And I will say, before I go any further, before I get into talking about Master Chief Collection and trying to call people to demand better game type settings, I will say that 343 has kind of corrected course in this regard and kind of cut off a long history of terrible game type settings with Halo 5. I have a lot of issues with Halo 5. It's not really a Halo game that I enjoy very much anymore. I tried to like it. I really did. I tried hard to like it. But I will say the game types in Halo 5 are really solid. They made them well. Strongholds is the best version of 3 plots in any game. I love that you can only score when you have 2. The resetting the plots dynamic is excellent. Everything about Strongholds is pretty solid. The only thing I wish if you were contesting a plot, it wouldn't continue to give points for it. That way, games wouldn't become mathematically impossible to right towards the end of the game. You could still have that last desperate push for a plot, and if you're contesting it, they wouldn't get points for it. It might make games last a little bit longer, but I think it'd be beneficial. That's like the only thing. Every other thing about Halo 5's game types are really solid. I guess you could argue that the flagnum is unnecessary, but my God, at least they brought flag juggling back. What a huge improvement. Oddball was really well done in Halo 5. Now that the spawning is kind of fixed, but like the way you move with the ball, the score limit, the score limit is actually good for once in default settings. I'll get into this more, but Halo 5, with the exception of radar, they pretty much nailed it with the settings. So that's a nice breath of fresh air to not have to worry about that going forward, or at least not as much as I did with Bungie. My God. And I credit a lot of that to the pro team. I think they're responsible for a lot of good things coming back to the game that never should have left in the first place. Like I mentioned flag juggling before with Halo 4. Quinn I don't know what you were thinking, man. It never should have left. There's this old story with Halo 4's CTF, where I think Quinn had a quote where he's like, well, you know when you're running the flag and or you find the flag carrier and then he drops it and rockets you, like, isn't that so random? That's random and silly. So now we just made it so that you can't ever drop the flag once you touch it. I'm like, no, dude, it's not random. He got the freaking rocket launcher. You should have known. Like, there's nothing at all random about that. You got outplayed, period. And so he just, watered down the game. And so I'm glad flag juggling came back. But anyways, let's wrap up this portion. Halo 5, we're on the right track for game type settings. Pro Team, thank you for what you've done. I'm glad we have another Pro Team going into Infinite, because it's necessary. I'm sure they strike down a lot of really stupid ideas and end up saving a lot of the integrity of the game. But I guess the purpose of this rant is, with 343 updating MCC again, and with them asking for feedback and, being very open to changing things about the game. I mean, this is our chance to correct a lot of the stupid things that have unnecessarily been a part of Halo's history, even to this day. Looking at the standard default game types for Halo 2, Halo 3, some of Halo 4, H2A has its fair share of dumb stuff too. It's really unnecessary. And if we can point out what it is and actually have some standards of what we expect from our matchmaking settings, we can get it fixed. This is our opportunity to get it fixed. But I feel like people have just accepted, like, oh, King of the Hill's bad. Oddball's bad. Who wants to play objective game type? Well, maybe people would want to play them if the settings didn't completely suck in them for no reason whatsoever. And I think they suck because the people that made them don't really play the game, or at least never played the game with the intent of improving. Maybe they just played to play. But I mean, it really shows. Like, just for example, I'm just going to start with, like, King of the Hill on Halo 2. I'm going to kind of skip over Halo 1 because, thank God, they listened to a huge list of suggestions that I gave them about Halo 1's game types, at least for 4v4. And we were able to get a lot of that fixed. There's still a couple things that stick out, one of which is my mistake, the starting grenades on CTF Dairy and Wiz. That's my mistake. But for the most part, the settings in 4v4 Halo 1 are pretty damn good. But look over to Halo 2, where like no work has been done since like 2005 to make these settings better. I mean, look at like King of the Hill Halo 2. What do you play it to like 2 minutes? So, and the hills are random. I think, yeah, the starting hill is not random, but then they move every 1 minute after that, randomly, and you only played it 2 minutes. So you could just have the hill move to you, and if it takes it takes the other team like 20 seconds to get across the map, well, I mean, my God, you just got a huge chunk of the score that you need to win randomly. And it does it every minute. So if you just increase the score limit from 2 minutes, then you mitigate that. Unfortunately, with Halo 2, you can't take away random hill rotation. You can't make it sequential like you could in like MLG's Halo 3 King of the Hill settings. You know how like Construct King, you'll always know where the hill's going next. Unfortunately, in Halo 2, that's not an option, and it's not in Halo 1 either. But you can mitigate that with a higher score limit. That way the hill's not just moving to you randomly. And then you just get this huge chunk of time that you need to win. Like, you get like 25% of a win just because the hill happened to move right to you. Stuff like that is so unnecessary. And just in a broader in a broader sense, objective games need to have a 10-second respawn. Always, without exception. When you get a kill, you need time to play the objective. If you've ever played King of the Hill with 5-second respawn, you know how much of a clusterfuck it is. It's so stupid. Your kills don't matter at all. A lot of times it's beneficial to die because you'll respawn closer to the hill. So, yeah, that's another problem with Halo 2's King of the Hill. You have a tiny score limit. You have 1-minute hills, which unfortunately you can't extend the duration of. You have random hills, which you can't make sequential. And you have 5-second respawns. So nothing matters. It's just everyone just bum rushing the hill. Trying to... Because you can bum rush the hill and it's a legit tactic because the score limit is so low. Whatever couple seconds you scrap up is such a huge portion of what you need to win. And then you're barely penalized for it with your tiny little respawn time. So, I mean, that concept can be applied all over the freaking game. Any objective game type that has a 5-second respawn needs to go. They messed that up with Halo 1 Oddball. If you play Derelict Oddball right now in matchmaking, it's just silly. It's like a circus act because people are just dying left and right, and it doesn't matter. They respawn right next to their teammates, right next to the ball a lot of the time. So it just makes the game types chaos. Hold on, I'm going through a toll booth. I'll pick this up in a second. I'll edit this out in post. So yeah, jumping back into like Halo 1's oddball settings, like you gotta have 10-second respawn for objective. You just have to. Another thing I noticed, like in Halo 2 Anniversary's oddball settings, like if you play the ball doesn't respawn in the same point every time. There's like at least 3 or 4 different spots the ball can respawn, and which is unnecessary right there, but it picks one of those spots randomly. You don't even, like, if you play the ball, you don't even know where the hell it's coming back up. So you can get a huge chunk of time based on just happenstance. Like, oh, the ball respawned a little bit closer to our side of the map, right next to me. I didn't earn that. There's nothing the other team can do to prevent that. It's why? Why is that better? Because the standard going in before that was the ball always respawns in the middle. Why would you choose to go away from that? Why is that better? That's the kind of crap that I don't understand, and it needs to go away. I mean, random hill rotation in games that allow you to prevent it. Why does that exist? Like Halo 3, you can put a sequential hill rotation in that you can actually learn and memorize, which is just objectively better. Like, I defy you to give me a reason why random hill rotation is better for the game. It is so stupid. And the options exist in Halo 3, Halo 4, H2A to not have that, but we're not using them. Why? That is so dumb. In H2A and H4, the hills are even labeled with letters. So you see the first hill of the game is Alpha. You would expect the next hill coming up would be Bravo. No, it's gonna be Foxtrot. No, it's gonna be Delta. Who the hell knows what it's gonna be? Like, they're labeled and it's still out of order. That's the dumbest shit. Fix it. Just fix it. Why are we purposely putting randomness in the game? And people, nobody complains about it. That's what drives me insane. It's like we're just so complicit with these terrible settings. And then people want to talk about how objective, I don't want to play objective, I just want to play Slayer. It's well, who knows, man? You might like objective more if the settings didn't completely blow for over a decade. Who knows? Let's give it a real shot. And these tiny little score limits that you see in King of the Hill or like midship flag to 3, stuff like that. These tiny score limits where you get games that last for like 6 minutes. Well, why is that good? Why don't you want a real game of Halo? I recently played King of the Hill with somebody who is expecting a low score limit, and then they find out that the score limit is going to 5 minutes in Halo 1. Like, oh man, it's going to 5 minutes, we're going to be here forever. It's like, no, dude, it's going to be like a 12-minute game. Why is that bad? I don't get it, man. I really don't. I don't know why people are so conditioned to associate like standard, like default objective game types with only playing for like 5 or 6 minutes. But then you jump over into MLG settings and you get a CTF game on the pit, and you know you're probably playing for almost 15 minutes, and they're perfectly fine with that. Nobody complains about that. But you put a similar experience into default matchmaking, all of a sudden it's the end of the world. I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, I think we should all be able to agree that the ideal length of a game of Halo is about 8 minutes if you're really stomping them, or about 12 minutes if it's like a good, close, competitive game. Somewhere in that window is what we should be aiming for. I mean, you got your exceptions, your really fast Slayer maps like Amplified TS, that's like a 6 or 7 minute game, stuff like that. But those are the exceptions. I don't know why you want every game of King of the Hill to be a 5 or 6 minute game because you're playing to some stupid score limit like 2 minutes. I don't know. People's standards and what they've come to expect out of objective games in matchmaking, it blows my mind. We can do so much better than we're doing right now. Like, people used to crap on Ricochet in H4 and again in H2A, even though it barely saw the light of day. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with the game type itself. It exists within its DNA to be an excellent game type. But the settings crap on it. They give you 5-second respawns. Why? You don't. You really need your kills to matter in Ricochet if you want to score. And then you have these enormous goals. Like, I don't know if most people know, Ricochet is based on an old Unreal Tournament game type called Bombing Run in UT 2003 or Unreal Championship on the Xbox. It's like the same game type, except in Unreal Tournament, the goals were like a disc, like a dinner plate turned on its side, like this portal. It wasn't some giant fucking office cubicle that you can throw the ball into and just hits anywhere in there and you get points. And it was raised off the ground, so roll-ins wouldn't count. First of all, roll-ins. Let's talk about that for a second. If you're throwing the ball and it hits the ground, it should be a dead ball. Why does it still count as your throw when it's rolling across the ground? That is so stupid. But we know that. We know that the game does that for some reason. And we don't do anything to prevent it. Raise the damn goals off the ground. You have Forge. You can make a small goal so that throw-ins aren't completely trivial like they always have been. Just super freaking easy to throw the ball into. Let's make it so that you actually have to aim the damn thing, just like we did in the original version of this game type, Bombing Run. And raise them off the ground, man. Like, why are we giving these free freaking points? Put a pedestal there or something. It's Forge. You don't even need a pedestal. Just let the damn thing float in the air. It's so preventable. You could have a good game type. They just don't do it. I mean, look at Halo 3. We've been playing Oddball and King of the Hill with fucking bubble shields on the map for 11 years now. Why? Fucking Oddball with bubble shields, dude. The ball's a one-hit kill. You throw down a bubble shield, that's 30 seconds of free time, because if they try to come through, you're going to one-hit melee them. Take the bubble shield off the map. I can't believe this hasn't been done for a decade. It's like the most immediately obvious thing. Regens too. Regens are almost as bad because it's a very similar concept. I mean, they're fine, I guess, and I don't enjoy them, but they fulfill their purpose in Slayer and I suppose in Flag. But it's just like egregiously bad in any game type you earn time in. It's even bad in the territories in Halo 3, the one-sided territories, because I mean, it's kind of about earning time in that game too. You throw down your bubble shield, especially if you have a shotgun, like on Last Resort or something. It's like, that plot's yours. Best you can do is run in and suicide stick you, and then your teammate runs in and picks up the shotgun and they pick up where you left off. It's just so dumb. It cheeses out the game where it could be a good game type. Like, one-sided territories on Last Resort could be pretty fun without a freaking bubble shield. But this stuff doesn't really get tested. It doesn't get exposed because the people making the game types don't play with good players that really exploit this stuff. They just play to play. Oh, I'm just here, go along, get along. They're not really trying to push the game. They're not playing to get better. And then, so you get dumb stuff like this put into matchmaking. It becomes the precedent. And then the Halo playing public, we're like, well, this is what the developer gave us, so this is the way Halo's meant to be played. I'm not going to use critical thinking skills at all. I'm just going to accept the plate of crap that I've been fed and just eat it. Oh, this is what objective games are. I don't really like objective games. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why you don't like them. Could it be because they're shit? How about fix them? So, that's the way I feel about game type settings. It's something that sticks in my craw. It's something I feel passionately about. I know it could be so much better if we just try. But anyways, I don't really know what else to say about it. Aside from like, this is our window of opportunity to fix this in MCC, and to be vigilant about it going forward. We lucked out with Halo 5. Halo 5 is pretty much BS free as far as game type settings go. But I mean, if it comes back, we gotta nip it in the bud. We gotta recognize it and be like, no, we deserve better than this. This is unacceptable. We're already tolerating radar. Like, before I sign off, I need to vent about radar, man. Like, if the standard was no radar way back in like 04, I mean, that's really what most people played in Halo 1 is no radar. But if H2 launched and there was no radar like it should have been, and then they tried to introduce it later in the series, would anybody be excited about not being able to flank without your opponent getting free information about where you are? Would anybody be excited about, oh, you want to execute this flank? Okay, well, just hold in your left stick forever and move at half speed and hope nobody sees you while you walk up this staircase and just execute this flank where it's going to take 20 seconds longer than it should, and just hope that the guy you're sneaking up on doesn't turn around during this time. Nobody would be excited about that. It's because it's stupid. Why do you not want to be able to move freely around the map? And if you're upset about losing the awareness that radar gives you, here's an idea. Plug in your freaking mic and talk to your teammates. That's why nobody complains about radar in free-for-all games, because you have no teammates to rely on, and it's chaos without it. But in team games, talk to your freaking teammates and communicate. I mean, this is stuff that is common sense, but radar is just like this accepted part of non-tournament Halo. Which, okay, I mean, I guess. I feel like it's worth the argument to leave it out of ranked and only put it in social. I don't know why we can't do that. But, I mean, it's a part of social. I understand that it's not going anywhere. But it's just, I just think it's dumb. And frickin' AR and SMG starts in 2019. Are you kidding me? How have you not figured it out yet? How have you not figured out how Halo plays yet? To where you want to be helpless beyond mid-range. To where you want to not be able to damage the people that you see. To where people's map control is completely oppressive and you can't break it if you play a competent team. I get it if you have like less than 100 hours of Halo put in and you've put no effort towards actually improving at the game. I get why someone would think that they like AR and SMG starts better, because you actually have to learn how to aim in those, and that can be hard for some people. They think the game becomes all about one weapon because that one weapon is what keeps killing them over and over again. So I mean, I get why people would think that, but at the same time I understand that is something that you should graduate from eventually. I mean, when I play Gears of War, I'm bad at Gears of War. I don't complain about the Gnasher. I understand that that's like the core weapon of the game. I'm not out here trying to nerf the freaking Gnasher or make it so you only spawn with the Lancer. Like, I'm not trying to change the damn game. I understand how it plays. In Halo, you need a utility weapon to be able to contest the map. But it's these people that have been playing Halo all this time, all these years, and they still think that. These people are like mythical creatures to me. I don't understand how you can be so dense for so long. Just somebody explain it to me. How is that better? Why do you want to feel helpless? Oh my God, it's awful. I can't believe this is still something that we have to compromise on in 2019. At least in Halo 5, again, something else they did, and to 343's credit, even Halo 4 did this, where they let you spawn with whatever weapon you wanted. But in Halo 5, they actually had the balls to make a standard loadout, a utility weapon, and an auto, just like it was in Halo 1. And just like the good game types were in Halo 2 and Halo 3, and so on. Like, that, just present Halo the way it's in its best light. Present it the way it's supposed to be played. I don't know why we need to keep compromising with this shit. If there's that much demand for AR and SMG starts, first of all, the people that are asking for that probably don't have a lot of playtime put into multiplayer. Maybe they play a lot of campaign, but if you play a lot of multiplayer, you should know better eventually. You should figure it out eventually. But for these people that still feel that way about autos, no precision starts 18 years later, I mean, I guess give them their own playlist. I don't know. Call it Beginner's Slayer or something. Training Wheels Slayer. I don't know. We give it its own playlist, but it should be clear that that's not Halo.
In 2 miles, use the left 3 lanes to take exit 421B for I-670.
It's not Halo. Sorry. I have no respect for that viewpoint. I've tried to, because it's an old debate. I've had a lot of time to think about it. I've had a lot of time to read arguments on forums. I just think it's the most ludicrous line of thinking that I keep expecting people to graduate out of, and they never do. Well, they don't. I did. Actually, no, I never thought. Even in my noobiest noob days, I always understood that you need a weapon that gives you a chance. Maybe that's because I started with Halo 1. I don't know. Maybe these people that started in 2004, the very first Halo they played was just default Bungie settings. Maybe that poisoned their mind. I don't know. But I just expect people to be smarter than that. Anyways, that's my Gametype rant. Expect better. We can have better. We just have to demand it. Let your voice be heard. Let's fix this stupid crap and get some actual good settings in matchmaking. Hard way out.